All right, showdown time with a new participant, well known for his detailed analysis on Jomboy media across social media. It's Jimmy O'Brien. Jimmy, it's Brian Kenny. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
I know you specialize in Yankees now, too, right? You follow Yankees pretty closely?
I couldn't stop following them if I wanted to.
Okay, here we go. So let's start with this. Juan Soto looks like a perfect Yankee right now, right? Should the Yankees pay the freight to keep him long term?
Absolutely. I think he's got the marketability. The crowd's going to love him, and the skill. It's already rubbing off on some of the younger players the Yankees have, and that's a good guy to be a leader on the field, leading by example. They got a lot of money coming off the books this year, so they're set up financially as well to give him a decent deal. And they also have some young guys that can replace in certain positions. You can put Dominguez in center field. That helps you out. And Peraza at second base. That helps you out if you need to. So, yes, I think absolutely they need to make sure he stays.
Right. He's a great player. It'd be lovely to have him stay. However, it's really going to cost you, right? And we're talking, Jimmy, where it's not just costing you a bit. And I don't know what they expect to get on the market, but it seems to be, I don't know, over 40 million, over 45 million per. Probably they want 8, 10 years. Would you do that? Would you do, I don't know, 500 million if that's what would command on the market?
I'd do whatever gets them in pinstripes. So I know you don't want to have it run up on you and get out of hand. But I think if you look at the Judge contract, it's probably a good comp. Judge is playing center field right now. Soto's not going to be doing that. But prices do go up as the years go by. Like I said, they have 90 million coming off the books this year. If it's 40 mil a year, they can figure that out. They're just going to have to get smarter and leaner in other places.
Well, that's the issue, though, right? Is that right? When you bring in the aircraft carrier, you're marrying that guy. If it's 10 years, my concern would be, look, he's perfect right now. I agree. Perfect in so many ways. His approach, everything, and he's playing defense. However, even last year, he didn't run, he didn't play defense. He was 24. Now he's 25. You're going to be paying $50 million a year for a 34 and 35-year-old version of that. A guy who does not field, does not run. All he does is hit. And what he does really is walk. He's got plate selection, but normally he's not slugging 600. So that I would be reticent to go 10 years for that when you get an older version of what we're seeing right now.
I hear you. I do think that's why I don't know if the numbers are going to get as crazy as he wants them to get, as crazy as Boris wants them to get.
Then it would be different,
like
right? Then it would be different. But you hear crazy numbers. And again, last year we got to 700 million. So I think that just blows everybody out. Go, oh, he's better than this. It's like, I don't know. All right, so while we're talking Yankees, because I'm torn on that a little bit. I'd love to. I don't think I could do it. But now the Yankees, they're already in this situation. There's already a cautionary tale right there. I went on the record 2 years ago about Giancarlo Stanton being a drain on the Yankees. You, from what I recall, let me have it on social media. What do you say now?
Well, I think I'll go back because I agree with half of what you're saying. What I disagreed then was the feast or famine and bad against good pitchers was one of the points you had in that segment. And up until that point, he was awesome against good pitchers and just feast or famine in general because his playoff numbers were phenomenal. The DH only is the biggest thing here. It's just tough. We have guys that need to get days in the DH spot, and Stan being DH only and slugging only isn't really crossing off too many things that we aren't getting other places. That's where it becomes, they get really hamstrung by his contract. I love Giancarlo Stanton as a Yankee and as a person. And right now, he's in a good stretch the last 2 weeks, so he can provide value. But
you still like him now. See, that's like, I'm not even hanging my hat on, does he hit good pitching or not? You see plenty of non-competitive at-bats, though, correct? I mean, you watch the games, right? He has a lot of non-competitive at-bats.
He's a guess hitter 100% of the way right now this season, and he switched in the middle of that Toronto series to guessing fastball instead of off speed. He's done the last 12 games. He has a 286 batting average, a 981 OPS or something like that, and he's looked really good. But he will still swing and look awful because he is just guessing.
So, look, I think he's helped sink them over these last few years since they were like a World Series contender. Again, having the aircraft carriers where you can't – Bryce Harper was really not in the works for them because they had just signed Giancarlo Stanton, made the trade for him, and had him forever. And over the last 7 years, take a look at this. Like Hunter Renfroe has outperformed Giancarlo Stanton. Mark Canha has outperformed Giancarlo Stanton. There's their rate, their runs created. That's a volume stat. There's their WAR, which I'm not even going to hang my hat on. But like Canha and Renfroe, guys who have been traded 2 or 3 times, free agents 2 or 3 times, have done it to the tune of 50 and 30 million, where Stanton is costing you 152 million. See, I think he's the Titanic for the Yankees the last few years. They've been immobile. He clogs up the bases. He clogs up the roster. And yet they're still waiting for him to come back. And he's got like a 122 OPS plus as a Yankee. That's not superstar. That's below all-star level.
It definitely hasn't been what they thought it was going to be when they got him. They thought he was going to be an outfielder that was going to hit for average and slug. He has been, on the injured list more often than playing. In the postseason, he has been really, really good for them. But yeah, they're stuck right now. I mean, it's too much money to walk away from. They have a history of walking away from players and parting with them when they're closer to
that's the cautionary tale, right? Let's just circle it around. That's the issue, right? If you're looking at a young Juan Soto, you're like, God, he looks so great. But eventually they become an older A-Rod that is working in 2 halves. And then a Giancarlo Stanton who runs the bases gingerly and has a sub 300 on base. That's what you got to worry about, right?
Yeah, well, if we go back to when they got Stan, I think what really went sour there, or in my opinion, where they messed up was they went and got Stan in 2018, 2019, 2020. 2020 obviously gets canceled out due to the shortened season. 18 and 19, instead of adding around those guys and going over the tax for those 2 years, they played soft on the margins and brought in pitchers and guys that were helping them stay under.
But the reason they did that was because of the deal, because of the contract. Yeah, they're now reticent. Like we got 30 million a year on the books, or 27 million on the books, so we can't do that. That's what precludes you from hitting the market.
100%. But my grievance is, if you're going in on 2 years, go in on them, go a little over. You have it. And now you hear Hal talking about how we're not hesitant to go over, and we will go over if we need to. And I think that's because they had a real window there in 18-19. They had a really good team.
They were excellent,
and they just never went over the top.
And you find, though, you know this, like eventually GMs always play at that budget. Like you can go over 2-3 years, you got to bring it back as a poison pill year 4. So they don't. You can't expect them to. They won't. All right, Jimmy, we got to go. We'll do it next time. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right.